another activity where water is being diverted away from the San Juan River. So, and that's something that has also been brought up by Water Resource Development Director. I think it was Jason John. He indicated that water was being diverted from the San Juan River, and this was something that we had a discussion on the other day. So these are some of the activities that's going on out in the Northern Agency. So within the San Juan River farm plot, it's all considered as irrigated farm plots, and there's two types of land use permits. There is a dry land and there is an irrigated farming. And for the San Juan, it's considered as an irrigated farm plot. So the regulation in both cases, we do recognize the Navajo Nation Code Title 3, subsection 151, 152, 211, and 212. So those are the regulations that we use, in issuing these permits. So where is the authority to issue agricultural land use permits? That's been a question that has been brought up a couple of times, and there was a case that went up to the IBIA, which is the Interior Board of Indian Appeals Office. It's an appeal that oversees any decision that is made or has impacted an individual, and they have an opportunity to appeal that to the IBIA. So during that process, a case between Hunter versus Navajo acting regional director that indicated that the authority comes from the Navajo. Actually, the land use permits are under Article 5 of the Treaty of the Navajo Nation. So the authority comes from the Treaty of the Navajo Nation, Article 5 of the Treaty of Navajo Tribe. And that is in a solicitor's opinion. So that's what we use. As far as the cancellation of agricultural land use permits, like I mentioned before, we closely work with the Navajo Nation, the Farm Board. In this case, it would be the Farm Board. If there's any recommendation for cancellation, it would have to come from the local land board for reasons of non-use for 2 years, failure to pay assessment, request for relinquishment, or any other valid reason presented by the local farm board to the Central Land Boards, which is the RDC. So that is in Title 3, subsection 216, land use permit may be canceled by the superintendent upon the recommendation of the local land board. It is the same for the grazing committee, which is the same process. The recommendation is made. If there is a cancellation that is being requested, the grazing committee would also make that recommendation for those dry land land use permit. So there are some plots that are up in the San Juan River and that is being utilized, but it has not gone through the probate process with the Navajo Nation. Originally, what would happen is if an individual wants to probate a farm plot, it would be recommended. First step would be it would be recommended by the farm board or the grazing committee. That recommendation is very important, and that's what the Navajo Nation courts or the probate court would look at. Whatever is recommended by the local farm board or the grazing official is what they usually move forward with in any proceedings. But they go through the court process in that. And once the agency receives the final court order, and of course, we need to make sure that the NEPA requirements are met, and that's when a new agricultural land use permit would be reissued. So overall, the BIA does recognize Navajo Nation code and laws and regulation in issuing and also canceling agricultural land use permits. So wanted to make it short, but that is the process that we use. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Curley, for that presentation, as well as Mr. Stevens. I would like to have a motion and a second.
Chair, I'll motion.
Motion? Okay, second then.
Okay. Honorable Walker, motion, second by Honorable Stewart. Any questions for BIA? Comments?
Oh, she changed the date and she probably.
Honorable members of RDC, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Stevens or Dr. Curley?
Chairman,
I do want
Honorable Gay?
I think Mr. Stevens wants another time. Go ahead and have him provide him that time, Chair.
Okay. Mr. Stevens?
Thank you, Chairman Nez. I did not chime in there. I have nothing further to add. I'm just waiting for questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable
Chairman
Gay?
Nez, this is Calvert. I always wanted to just also mention that I overlooked it here. I thought I was doing my presentation, but I wanted to mention that along the San Juan River, there's approximately 2,179 agriculture land use permits. And within the San Juan River, there is San Juan River that covers the San Juan River Farm Board. They oversee approximately 948, but in total, from what I received, there's 2,179 agricultural land use permits. That I just want to put that out there also. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Curley. Honorable Begay?
Chairman, the other area, I don't know if it is something that they're not prepared to make a report, is the two farm bill that was passed by Congress, the 2014 and the 2018, and specifically how the policy that's included regarding tribal having access or given certain authority regarding farmland or farming activity. Dina kikubejas ani le Washington Landa is Coco Elahit Kodo Betsin Liniki Sato Kayapin and she Kayapin and she does the paper. So maybe be more specific in how the Navajo Nation and BIA are looking into those particular policy that's in place right now. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Begay. Mr. Stevens or Dr. Curley?
Thank you, Chairman. Delegate Begay, the work, absolutely. We want to be collaborative. We want to be ready to provide what technical assistance or what guidance we can provide in the that we depend on in issuing the permits, but also in canceling permits, the entire process. So if that is certainly something that comes to fruition through the routes described by Dr. Curley and myself earlier, then the BIA will follow the action that is recommended by the entities with that authority from the Navajo Nation.
Honorable Begay, do you have a follow-up?
I guess, Chairman, I appreciate the time, but the thing that I sure like for the nation and the BIA in collaborating is to really make it public and clarify to the public, to the community, especially the farm board, the local elected officials, of how and what the actual policies that are in place. And I would look to or request through the RDC that the BIA process and then the policies that are being mentioned at Congress level. So those would be but much more for local level, local farm boards, chapter officials, and even the public, and especially the farmers, what policies are actually in place that we as the government are, I guess, abiding by in dealing with farming activity across the Navajo Nation. So that would be very much, and how does our Navajo Nation Resource and Development, Navajo Nation the Department of Natural Resource, especially our Department of Agriculture, very much in play in making sure all these policies are available and provided. So there might be always be an interpretation to the general public in Navajo. That way, to Ecuador, the Nacho, the Nandini, Eastern Odds, and that's one area that I believe that the Department of Natural Resource and the Department of Agriculture of the Navajo Nation really needs to step up in providing information to the Navajo people. So, Mr. Curley, maybe that's one area that could be coordinated with the Navajo Nation Division of Natural Resource, that we really need to step up in providing all these policies to the Navajo people. So, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Begay. Dr. Curley?
Yes, thank you very much. So what we did today is we did a presentation on what's going on up in the Shiprock Agency along the San Juan River. So we did an assessment, we presented that information. Along with that, we also identified the authority that is given to the BIA and Navajo Nation, how agricultural land use permits are issued. And then we also mentioned what the process is as far as canceling permits. But as far as the Farm Bill and USDA, they have the regulation where, yes, it does allow for Indian tribes to move forward with the hemp production, but it's specific and very detailed as far as how the operation should move forward. Like, for example, so in the Farm Bill, the regulation, the way it's set up is that the tribe will have a regulation in place for these farmers to go by. In this case, the second step would be to sample what's out there. I think that's part of the Farm Bill. It has to be at a certain THC level, so that needs to be developed. So, so I'm thinking that maybe we could possibly sit down with USDA and Navajo Nation Department of Agriculture and identify how this could be laid out if that's what the Navajo Nation wants. So,
thank you, Dr. Curley. Honorable Begay, do you have a follow-up to that?
Chairman, again, thank you very much, and I apologize for having a lot of questions, but I think it's very important for us as RDC member and the people or the programs that have the resource and the however support that we need to have for our local farmers. The Navajo Washington, BIA, Department of Agriculture, other response, community, other partners, the little other farm board, the dog grazing official, to it are need Ecuador, the net, but Indo Bunny Nish, a couple A has wrote or the Dikabaye, I I try not to get into the detail of the situation there, but more in general of getting clarification back out to the Navajo people of policies that are in place. So issue been go so in cut court issue by it the a call been much issue to has other but not down she could then to has your enforce go she been not that to been having to the Hanti she to the chocolate ni dikishin the hot a been in go to has your show get shot other could not at all. You are then these are the areas that are concerns. But nonetheless,
Honorable Begay, hold on, please, pause. Ashmore, not not I Koron, he found me to that, not Ashmore, thank you. Go ahead, Honorable Begay.
Chairman, I apologize, but thank you. But nonetheless, Mr. Curley, again, out of RDC members, I believe that we should just go ahead and really publicize what the current policies are and so on. That would we have our communities and especially the farmers have a better understanding what these policies are that are in place right now. So, Edi Kodo, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Begay. BIA, are you able to provide some funding to pay for maybe radio ads or something and information and send to the local chapters along San Juan River?
We can certainly provide literature and documents to maybe chapter officials that can help us with dissemination out to the public on policies, procedures, and regulations that guide the work that the BIA does. We can certainly search for additional resources and see if they're available for other forms of media outreach.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stevens. Honorable Stewart, you're next.
Okay, Shania. Again, thank you. Shania, that's not and Mr. Curley, Mr. Stevens. So thank you for the update and the report to what needs to be done. My question back to you all would be for the farm permits. The farm permit, the holder or the lessees of the permit, can they or are they allowed to rent or sublease their permit to another individual to conduct this hemp activity? And do permits have restrictions on them as to what needs to be, as to what is growing? Like, auto, they're under agriculture. Is there a listing that says this is considered agricultural product? Is hemp under that? Does CIA consider hemp an agricultural product right now? So if it's not under our policy, the Navajo Nation policy, within the policy and the procedures of Navajo Nation and the Department of Agriculture to say to grow and to cultivate that age as us as permit holders with grazing, we have to have a conservation plan. Not closing is that like that again with agriculture, and is it allowed to do that within Navajo Nation? Out of the other one, through I don't know how much involvement BIA through the agricultural department, how much involvement they have with the leasing or the, I don't know if you want to call it leasing, but the the funding that happens to these farmers. So could Mr. Benali, the Benali, he was given a loan, an X amount of dollars to use towards his business or whatever it was, and that hasn't been paid back, I don't believe. So how would we work with that and BIA to make sure that all these are in compliance, not only from us as RDC, but down to the local farm board? So how can we do that?
Thank you, Honorable Stewart. Mr. Stevens and Dr. Curley, you may respond.
Thank you, Chairman Nez. I'll defer that to Dr. Curley.
Dr. Curley, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. As far as subleasing agricultural land use permit, the process usually is like for any other sublease. We subleased agricultural land use permits before, and what usually happens in that process is recommendation is made by the local farm board or the local grazing official, and there's subleasing documentation that we use, and we work closely with the farm board, and the recommendation is processed through the BIA, and that's how it's handled. Currently, within this area, there's really, we haven't seen any subleasing. Mainly within the San Juan River Farm Board, I haven't seen any subleasing requests. Maybe it was made, but it never made it to the BIA. So there is a process in place for subleasing. So how subleasing works is, let's say an individual has 40 acres of prime farmland, but because of the fact that maybe he doesn't want to farm this year, they could sublease it to anybody, maybe their relatives or somebody within the family members, so they could cultivate something. So that's usually the process.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. As far as the type of product, it's really anything that falls under agriculture as far as producing crops, and hemp is part of agriculture, because that's what was recommended by the USDA under the 2020 Farm Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Curley. Honorable Stewart, do you have a follow-up question?
Okay, so under that one, Dr. Curley, the current Farm Bill that allows it. It's on that side, the Kodogi Navajo Nation, it's not on there. So, and then Farm Board, they're under Navajo Nation. So, does the Navajo Nation then supersede what the U.S. Farm Bill does, or is it the reverse, that U.S. supersedes?
Dr. Curley?
I'm sorry, Delegate Stewart. Somehow you just cut out on my end. Could you repeat your question, please?
Oh, okay. What you just stated, that the Farm Bill, yes, that is understood that the hemp is in there as an agricultural product. The Navajo Nation, it's not approved within our plan or within our operations. San Juan Farm Board, the other Navajo Nation farm boards, they are under Navajo Nation. Which one supersedes what? Does Navajo Nation supersede the U.S. Listing then, or does U.S. still supersede the Navajo Nation?
U.S. Okay, thank you for clarifying that, Delegate Wilson. So since USDA has it in their farm bill, they do have specific instructions as far as how they would allow tribes to cultivate hemp. So there is a process that is identified in the USDA side of the house. So until everything is satisfied according to what is outlined with USDA to grow and to cultivate hemp, that should suffice. And in this situation where Shiprock, where the San Juan River Farm Board, if they have if they're proposing to cultivate at this time, it's illegal because, like the Navajo Nation says, it hasn't approved it yet. So once that process has been identified and approved, yes, they can move forward. But in the meantime, in the Farm Bill, it does have specific instructions and process as far as how to cultivate hemp for Indian tribes. So that has to be recognized.
Dr. Curley, Superintendent, I'd like to provide a comment too. Mr. Chair, if I may.
Who's this?
Superintendent Sosi.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Those are really good questions, and I think we all need to probably get more familiar with in trying to assess and address the situation in Shiprock area. Certainly the language, there's very specific language in the Farm Bill of 2018, and there's also definitions that are clearly, and certainly what Dr. Curley was alluding to or describing is the administrative procedures and process that would be used. Now, in terms of looking at what supersedes or another, I think one way to look at that is that the Farm Bill clearly describes the policy or the statute in how, if hemp production was to be done on an Indian reservation. For example, there's a real clear language. Let me read that here. In section 294B, it says, state and tribal plans. In general, a state or Indian tribe desiring to have primary regulatory authority over the production of hemp in the state or territory of the Indian tribe shall submit to the Secretary through the State Department of Agriculture in consultation with the Governor and Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state or the tribal government, as applicable, a plan under which the state or Indian tribe monitors and regulates that production as described in paragraph 2. So you do have guidance like that and information that we probably need to look at some more in detail so that everybody's on the same page with it. I just wanted to add that to Dr. Curley's presentation information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sosi. Let me go to Honorable So.
Thank you very much, Chairman Ness. I own the members of the Resource and Development Committee. Like the policy that Superintendent Sosi alluded to related to the Farm Bill is something that is really, really, really good information because, like I said, Congress intends to change laws without really getting the inputs of Indian tribes. And but in this case, it looks like with the Indian tribe, whoever wants to pursue that avenue would have to submit a proposal and a a plan for that purpose to the Secretary. But one of my, internally with the Navajo Nation that I worry about is when you say the Navajo from the Indian tribe, and we know that the Navajo Nation Council by law is the governing body of the Navajo Nation, but we have our three-branch government chief branch chiefs disagreeing to that. You see that in one statement was that the president said, no, you You guys are not they told council, you're not the law body of the Navajo Nation. I am. And in that sense, that's how I took his statement there. And but by law, the council has that. But when you have Navajo Nation officials indicating that, it throws uncertainty. And with the power and authority, with the authorities that our chapter officials have, and our grazing official and our farm board members, when you just in general say Navajo Nation official, a farm board member can say, I'm a Navajo Nation official. I was elected to that position. So that part really brings a lot of concern related to that matter of who from the Navajo Nation. So I hear earlier that some on this meeting, someone was saying that someone submitted a document to the Secretary of Interior. I'm not too sure if that's happening. Is that a Navajo citizen? Is it a Navajo Nation official? Is it a who? And does that Navajo Nation, if it's an official, say if it's a grazing official, gets a plan and say, I'm gonna take it to the secretary and have him bless this for me. And he gets the grazing committee resolution. And a lot of the agreements that happen up there requires the resolution, and he may carry a grazing committee resolution over there. So I got a resolution from the grazing communities. And that brings a lot of concerns to related to this matter. The other is that I believe with these farm, I'm gonna go back to jurisdiction. And Dr. Curley alluded to Article 5 of the Treaty of 1868 that allows BIA to work with the nation related to agriculture. And then from there, we have Title 3, which has the grazing and the farming aspects related that's codified in law. So with that, this grazing, this permit that is issued, agricultural permit, and then a land use permit. And with that, it's a permit from the federal government. And I believe it's there should be some sort of document in place to allow you to issue a permit, because under that document that allows you to issue that permit should have a set of rules. Just like things of thou shalt not do this, you should not do this, a farm shouldn't idle for so many years. And that gives that turns back to what I always say, and I always said this even with the previous area director. BIA has the full authority on grazing and farming. How come there is no enforcement? And I believe one of the former BIA area directors, we gave it back to the Navajo Nation. It's your responsibility. If it's our responsibility, why is a BIA permit being issued? BIA shouldn't be in the picture at that point. If they're saying it's the Navajo Nation's responsibility. So therefore, since a BIA permit is still in the midst of this, BIA, you have a role in this to sort through this, and you issue a farm use permit to those individuals. If it says Navajo Nation farm permit, directly from the Navajo Nation, from Department of Agriculture, with our Department of Agriculture director's signature on there, or our DNR director, that would be suffice, and we would say that's a Navajo Nation permit. But in this case, these permits that are issued, that what had been alluded to, that the farm board can make those make those decisions to rescind and probate these permits. That's all they have. Just the authority, just to say, you know, we can probate this and so forth. Have that discussion. But realistically, they only recommend to BIA, and that's when BIA makes the decision to reissue that permit. So with that, you have a big role in this. That's just the way I am seeing this, because at some point, some sort of land transaction happened that BIA requested. I think the same scenarios in Tuba City, Curly Valley Irrigation System project. BIA requested the Navajo Nation Council to withdraw land in the San Juan River Basin for agricultural use, meaning that you are the sole individual that has the authority to that allows you to issue those permits to Navajo individuals who currently have permits. So that's where I'm at. And I'm trying to wrap my arm around this to figure out the responsibility. And I really hope that BIA is a part of this responsibility. I mean, in this decision, and in all of the discussions that happen. Because right now you have Department of Justice litigating this, costing the nation hours and charging the nation funding, and that's just one area, and I want just that authority of you know, if BIA says it's not, I don't have authority, rescind that authority and give us all the permitting back. You know, that way BIA is not part of that. That way the Navajo Nation government can work in other ways to try to fix this matter. But at this time, there's over 2,179 farm permits issued, and I believe it's issued the permit comes from BIA. So therefore, those policies related to those farm permits are your part of your role there, and enforcements. You know, every year there's a tally count that's turned into the BIA natural resources, the grazing tally and the crop tally. It's not a Navajo Nation tally, not a Navajo Nation government tally. It's a BIA tally of what had been what animal grazes on the Navajo Nation, and what commodities of produce is produced on the Navajo Nation. I myself really haven't seen it yet, but I know there's such documents out there, and that's just one of my areas that I see. And the other is I guess there's discussion related to hemp. It's not something that was grown here in Navajo, but there's forms of natural plants that grow on Navajo relating to natural plants that grow on Navajo that has THC. And it did زي تلهودات ديشنا ليدس تويتش ده يخلو يا داس تيو جش يخندي له قيد ده بن ده قديت إيه ده تدغاه ده بيجا ياندي ده أجبه إبن نبن يله إذا شنت تقول إيه نبى بجد نهوتي هس آجي they could up a chon. You know, that's a what up ba once. I don't know it a shin so not sie has aje is not bespidet it. Ni naji ni do dara ba Steven na. Is na han lin e be no ba has na has tuya Steven lide. I don't let that hate that. Yego da. It's Isa hadit ada. To get a massive cut or a broken leg or something like that. E aja hot ego sto. It's not on ska ko eight ya chon. Men an tindon da chon get do het ego iba hayago e chon. Oh you balahal in so eight ani. Dot ego chon. Only this 2 out yes tin oh aban this case. Lo hashban never rapi said lahat no. Eban this case. La snin the quite that's the sort of never now it would actually I don't you know you have the other plant of the peyote, but that's another give that people say, hey, that's my religion. Hey, that's a constitutional issue. But again, you know, nihite goes tuinit line bahas ki hot a akoko eben na koko to ha shi acha le kota ha shi dada. Tweet I don't know that خاطت الجيل إله وكو أجل تأخذ يشوي ابن ناقو أجل أخذ دي كون زي تلوباش it's in general of so many plants that grow on Navajo. I didn't know that the nashito to be the husband. The na ya so should yosh to you to yosh ida. O baba no sendo this additional later with Abba openly. A go on later she had a she, he transni, did a hemp bahne. I don't is it when the garden what had she had a she that he transni. A coco a penal in coco. Ya don't later Kate in it or eight. So corny he up a car, you holoni door. De hemel yaki do kon apen nahat lesit eda. Had shin ilya, had shin yahalya. Even na koko o bahatis. This is from standpoint from has twin lean. Ako only has twin lean what ya yadaki. Inle de hot. There's a conversation I had with one of my mentors at the early part of 1950s. Then in that now I did hitching ishi nahagad hat no. It's not really but not it lahat no. But I has tuya da hasna. Ayan has tuya nahas kai. Eban says kiss alcohol eben na koko do en de kalitisch ede ya ko atra ebe be Washington ya ade hashin so in hiking na adon da aje de nek adishin ge chuyo anet ashin chuyo in de shin joshin chuyo ako di aje ze tlehon leni na ti che hot ba hast hi nini bildit ako hot ba honsen to قالت What Hade the Bohos Anna has twin lady yata had national. Deet a hay. In the horn, not lovely the bedre, no hot babbage, like a canara, Allah that the livestock has an injury. What other George, ye. Joy ye yadis, other a, the other ye. But not this. But you was hard, did leave it. It the net at the Hajib and hot you up, and in there. Uncle, I couldn't a distinct dig about him. What ego, so what later asking what actually yoshi. A distinct at the hashing the honey lego. Gallop to Chicago and the honey. Go to any gas station there. CBD oil, there's no CBD cream. The Nahashin that you see. Go to Farmington, it's the same thing. Go to the border towns, the same thing. Should I use Lord, honestly. Be lazard at that yard, and then as to your honestly. Go, it's shiny dish lineage. I don't never steer. I don't have to lean it. Oh, yeah, that's you. As a lean, it's a category of many different native plants that grow on Navajo. Ni taki hollow, skate and lead it. The Indian unneeded than he transni. If you are what unneeded than he transni. And then lead it did Bilkate in an answer. None air lead it Bilkate. What about Onsen? Go added or added and then clean added. And about Honasset on the leader. What is about this? Not sick. The Neppen had it ego with Carl, though, neither the Neppen Ndoljon. Not on Lenny with Chon. No, I just love with Chon. Nan said Lenny also. I can't over add Lenny because it has three. He is still Choyoki. In Naji, the out also the Lenny the net. Nice the Choyoki. Oh, what I want to dish. I don't know. Yeah, thank you for time to listen to me. Just wanted to bring this point up. Leo is twin that we try to the hello. Go on the ship. Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Searle. Dr. Curley.
Thank you for your question, Delegate So. As far as your question about canceling these agriculture, land use permits, and grazing permits, yes, the permits are federal permits. However, we work closely with the Navajo Nation, specifically, mainly, like for example, if there was a situation where there was a cancellation that was being requested, from the BIA side, we make sure that the local farm board makes those recommendations. The Navajo Nation making a recommendation to cancel a permit. The reason why is because there was a similar situation where an agricultural land use permit was being canceled, and apparently was canceled from the BIA side without going through the recommendation of the farm board, or the grazing official. So that was reverted back to the Navajo Nation, and until we got recommendation, that's how we were able to move forward to cancel a permit. So that was sort of like a case law with the Interior Board of Indian Appeals. So Navajo Nation and BIA, yes, we work closely if we're gonna cancel a permit. So that is always the process that we go through. And then also benanit ahigi ya ejo the bihoti pitolish le de khishi bikaya but cancel elia bihoti akwa agi has anikijo ya due process of Navajo Nation due process or your farm board recommend or cancel law, that person that's affected has an opportunity to appeal that decision, and that has to be provided. That's what the due process is with the Navajo Nation. So if there's an impact on an individual and there's a recommendation to cancel their farm plot, the BIA doesn't automatically cancel that permit within that same time period. It'll take a while because we have to make sure that this individual might say that they're going to appeal it through the Office of Hearings and Appeals. This is what you call the due process of the Navajo Nation. That goes to the Navajo Office of Hearings and Appeals. It goes to the Navajo Nation Supreme Court. The order has ABA BIA they also will provide this individual an opportunity to appeal that particular cancellation. ABIA, Interior Board of Indian Appeals, IBIA. Cancelled because only the due process impact to the individuals.
Okay, Dr. Curley, honorable members of RDC. So, Rajan Naidos, Kitchen and I.
This is Delegate Charles Newton. I don't have a question at this point, but I just want you to know that I am on the call listening. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the call, Honorable Charles Newton. We had just gone over some issues with lands being canceled as well as other issues. So thank you for joining us. Honorable Daniels?
Sure.
Who's this? Go ahead.
This is Thomas Walker.
Honorable Walker, go ahead.
Yes, Chair, though, committee members, and though presenters, though, Dr. Curley, though, Mr. Stevens, and Superintendent Sosi. She get so sit though Delegate Charles Newton got echo. Yeah, quite he couldn't ignore the guitar in it, me. I don't think that that is that is called Ilaba in either Halita Bahuin, Tilahuin, Zunishin, Ada Echo, or Yego, and but that it or she, Tahoshinda Yabba, a bit echo. So, question to the BIA, the 5 agencies on Navajo Nation, so they're, geographically different, unique, distinct from each other's, and number of permits vary as far as grazing permits. So these farm permits or agricultural land use permits. So I don't have the information for Western, the number of land use permits, agricultural land use permits. Maybe it would be good to share this with RDC, as RDC makes up, is comprised of delegates representing agencies. So this would be good information for Resource and Development Committee to have to understand the system as you describe it. Although the policies also, it's always good to receive another copy of those policies, as we may have received them, but now is a good time as any to see if there's been any changes. I don't think there's been any changes lately in these policies or regulations that were referencing here. So, of course, Department of Agriculture also should be providing us the same information, sort of more logistical information aid. Though, of course, I don't know if it's possible to get the demographics type of information like the permittees. Yeah, of course, there's always issue of living permittees and then non-living deceased permittees, and those whose permits need to be probated or canceled. But even those are issues when subleasing, subletting, those come into discussion. So is it possible to even sublet or sublease permits then that have whose
Good
holders?
afternoon, Department of Child Care.
Could you please put your phones on mute? Ashwada, put your phones on mute. Go ahead, Vice Chair Walker.
Yes, so I was saying whose permit holders are deceased. Navajo, Behzan, Bebenal, so Sahata Nendija, Bahata Hastin, Vigi Hatashi Bahata Hastin, that Ati, the Nendija. No doubt, I would think farm permits or agricultural land use permits are similar. Oh, that Egota Aben Nasada, and then someone indicated that the value of these permits are now sort of like in focus, or we now sort of have an understanding how these permits could have a monetary value. Depending on nature of the demand. So over earlier, I indicated over at the Little Colorado River area, the areas communities I represent, there is a renewed interest in farming, and I do hear occasionally individuals that want to go develop commercial farms, to grow, to produce food that can be sold commercially to other food vendors or grocery stores. So, but I'm sure even that has some kind of other implied. They may be implying commercial while they're talking about maybe hemp production.
Could everybody mute your phones, please? Thank you. Go ahead, Honorable Walker.
Thank you, Chair. So, quite basically, Jomba Kunani Tsindo Lita agent. Has Agota Epenad, so the Queenas in the Echo Adota Tate Jahagido, Sashin, Ati E Deja, Osa Bahtastin, Kudat Egota, Hazno Chokoyat, Ese, Behzani Kodopan, Sanan, so the Jainkinan policymakers as legislators, depending on need. And of course, some of these policies are, they've been in existence for years and have not been amended or revised. So even going into decades, such as the grazing permit. So it bahdit si hoshin tadani sinanda utai ya phải bà thì tôi chơi ở đi đào nè bà hiện số để cho sẽ chơi
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Dr. Curley?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for your comment again, Delegate Walker. Yes, we can provide information regarding agricultural land use permits within the Western Agency. So what we have is we have a database of all the agencies as far as how many agricultural land use permits are out there, how many grazing permits are out at the agency, and it's further divided by districts and by the agency. So that's something that we could provide, and that's no problem. And then as far as subletting and subleasing a deceased permit, that's not allowable because according to Navajo Nation, any deceased, that it becomes a jurisdiction of the Navajo courts to go through and identify who will be receiving the permit. So that goes through the Navajo Nation courts, and I explained that earlier, where the recommendation would start from the farm board or the grazing, and then the recommendation would be forward to the district court, and then the district court would set hearings and invite individuals that have interest into this particular permit, and decisions will be made by the judge that is presiding over that case. So until we get a final court order, that's when we move forward with reissuing the permit, of course, recognizing the NEPA compliance. So that is the process. And then as far as the so that's my response. I don't think we would be allowed to sublet a permit that is under probate or an individual has deceased. Thank you.
Dr. Curley, let me go to Honorable Charles Noon, and then Honorable Charles Noon.
Put in the queue, Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Shana, Honorable Rick Naz, thank you for allowing me to ask a question. And this is actually a really simple question, but it relates back to, I think, the issue that has been brought up about due process. Due process does require notice given to the parties. In this case, I know that when the hemp testing legislation was passed by council, that in the words provided by President Nez when he signed off on the legislation, he did state on that letter language that pertained to what could happen if there was any hemp production going on. So that was shared, I think, twice during a radio announcement that was shared with the people. So my question is, and I know that this would probably be a legal question, but is that notice, will it suffice as far as letting the people know that if they engage in this activity, that there would be consequences to those actions? And then the second question, again, this is a really simple question, but is there I guess maybe this is more for BIA, but I just need clarification. And again, this is a really simple question. I feel like we may all know the answer, but I just need it to be clear. Is there anything illegal about this operation that's happening here in Shiprock regarding hemp? I know that there was questions about the lease, and then also what's stated on the lease, but there was also nothing in regards to what people cannot do with their land. So again, it is a very simple question, but BIA? Is there anything illegal about what's going on with this operation? Thank you, Shana, and also my colleagues, the members of RDC. I'm going back on mute. Thank you.
Dr. Curley? Dr.
Let me
Curley?
respond. Yeah, sorry for that. Thank you for that question, Delegate Charles Newton. Let me go with the clarification. If anything is illegal, if there's an illegal operation regarding hemp right now up in the Shiprock agency. Like Superintendent had mentioned earlier, in order to grow hemp legally in Indian country, a tribe must be in full compliance with Section 297A of the Farm Bill. And that is that amendment. The amendment, in that amendment, the compliance means having robust system and laws in place to track where hemp is being grown. Procedures, that's very important. Procedures for testing the THC content of the crop to ensure that producers are not growing cannabis that has more than 0.3% THC. So an annual inspection of all the cultivation site needs to happen. But of course, that's if the section of 297A of the Farm Bill has been met. So those are, I don't believe that the Navajo Nation has met that yet. So in essence, yeah, it's not approved yet by USDA.
Dr. Curley?
Yes, I'm still here. So that would be my response back for the clarification. And then as far as the due process, I think that's the Navajo Nation question. So that would be my response. Thank you. I'm back on mute.
Dr. Curley? Thank you. Honorable Show?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. One area is that what about when we talk about jurisdiction, and this is just something that's out there, man. I don't know if it's going to open up a whole another can of worms, but what about hemp production on Indian allotment lands, as if the allottees agree? And since BIA oversees Indian allotment lands, how does that play key? Because we're talking about trust land here, Indian trust land, and Indian allotment lands, something that is with what's going on there, people are talking just to maybe get some information out there because of the jurisdiction of public safety on an Indian allotment lands. Those things I have concerns on. That's all. Thank you.
Dr. Curley?
Thank you. I'm going to defer to Superintendent on the allotment question.
Mr. Sosi? Mr. Sosi?
Chairman Nez, this is Bart Stevens, Regional Director.
Go ahead, sir.
Before we get into specifics, when we first started this call, it was referenced that we were going to avoid anything that could become litigious because there is current litigation happening regarding this issue. So what I would suggest, I know we're talking about on Indian trust lands, and then now we just switched to Indian allotted, which has vast differences. So before the BIA responds to that, I'd like to have our solicitors review the question and provide us some guidance on a correct response, just because the point in time that we're at with dealing with a myriad of issues, including Navajo Nation's prohibition of hemp, as was referenced by Delegate Charles Newton in a letter from the Navajo Nation president, and then what is actually allowable or not allowable for both permittees as well as allottees on developing, for allottees anyway, their trust assets. So what I'd like first is to have an opinion, give us the opportunity, the BIA, the opportunity to reach out to our solicitors so that when we make sure that we're not, that we're sharing accurate information and anything that could possibly turn litigious in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. On the Honorable Freeland.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. I'm on 2 calls today, 3 calls, and planning meeting today, so I apologize for my tardiness, Chair. In relation to the question, thank you to Honorable Alonso for asking that, but I guess my question really stems around to that term, term of eminent domain. Does the Navajo Nation have the ability to put eminent domain into action in these cases, or in any case of leases of lands, of farmlands particularly? Not to say that, that we're going to do it for this case or any other case, but just overall, I guess my question, would eminent domain, could that be considered by the nation, and could it be practiced and put into place? Area Chair, that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Curley.
I'll defer to our regional director on that.
Chairman Nez, can we ask Delegate Freeland to repeat the question, please?
Honorable Freeland.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, and good afternoon, Director Stevens. My question centers around eminent domain. We can do that with rights-of-ways, I guess. I'm thinking in terms of rights-of-ways, or if we're trying to obtain a right-of-way, can we also impose eminent domain on agricultural leases or farmlands? In any case, could that be practiced and put into place or utilized in cases of agriculture? Thank you.
Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Chairman Nez, and thank you, Delegate Freeland, for repeating the question for me. I was a little distracted with another issue, but again, I don't have an accurate answer for that. It would be something that we would need to research and get an understanding on applicability of eminent domain and review the statutes and regulations pertaining to that. That will give us guidance on the response to that question. But we can certainly do that and get back to you and provide the group, RDC and others, delegates that information as soon as we figure it out and it becomes available.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Shanantai, I believe we need to move forward on our agenda. With both reports here, it's currently 1:42. So, Shanantai, I think we need to call for the questions and move forward. And thank you, Mr. Stevens, Dr. Curley. So, Honorable Freeland, how do you vote, sir?
Green.
Honorable Stewart.
Green.
Honorable Begay.
Chairman, I vote green to accept the BIA report. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Daniels.
Green.
Thank you. A vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries for BIA report. Thank you, Mr. Stevens, Dr. Curley, and your staff that's on the line.
Chairman, next is Delegate Crotty.
Delegate Crotty.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Committee. May I request, and after receiving this report, can the committee request from the Speaker's office that this be provided to the public via radio? Is there a way, Chairman, that you can give some guidance on how to provide that information? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Crotty. We will most certainly do that. And perhaps what we'll do is have maybe a radio forum again through Speaker's office from KNDN and perhaps KGAK. And we can invite BIA and have them answer some of these questions and provide this information to the public. Thank you. Let's move down to old business. There's none. New business, Bahoji, A. Legislation 0211-20. We have Honorable So on the line with us. So, Ms. McGay, could you read the legislation in for the record?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I sent these documents out to you this morning. You have a legislative summary sheet for tracking number 0211-20. The date on it is August 26, 2020. The title of the resolution is a proposed standing committee resolution and action relating to resource development, budget and finance committee approving and the intergovernmental powers agreement between the Navajo Nation and Arizona Department of Transportation for Tuba City Warrior Drive lighting and power along U.S. Highway 160. The purpose of this resolution is to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the Navajo Nation and ADOT for a highway lighting project along US 160 on Navajo Nation and community of Tuba City. You will see that this resolution will be moving forward to RD Budget and Finance. Prime sponsor of this legislation is Otto So. The document has Exhibit A, which is the intergovernmental agreement, and it's attached to the packet. You will note that the packet was posted on the council website on August 26, 2020, and the 5-day comment period ended on August 31st, 2020, and there were no comments received. Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Begay. Honorable members of RDC, let's establish a motion and a second.
Chair, I motion.
Honorable
Okay,
Walker, thank you. Honorable Begay. Honorable Begay, seconds. Thank you very much. Honorable So, you have the floor.
Thank you very
Honorable
much,
So.
Chairman. Chairman, do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I was on mute, and I unmuted myself. This legislation that was read into record is a lighting project that was funded by the state of Arizona. Partially part of it was built. That's the existing lighting project that's along Highway US 160 from milepost 322 to 324. There's that strip of land as you come into the community of Tuba City. As you're coming in from the west side, as you come up from the Curly Valley, the advanced training post right before the turn, just a little bit past the U.S. Post Office in Tuba City, going towards Shiprock. This safety corridor was put in place from some federal dollars, some state dollars that was implemented by the state of Arizona. It was geared to help the children, the kids that go to school in that community for their for lighting purposes, safety purpose. and and with it, it's perpendicular. There's a road called the Tuba City Warrior Drive Lighting Project. I believe that's the second phase of that project to complete. It is being is in the process, and this is the agreement between the Navajo Nation and the president, the Navajo Nation, and the state of Arizona, and basically going to be sort of like turning over the O&M related to the utility costs and so forth, which INDOT has, that kind of communication had already had been communicated with. Though they are just waiting for this agreement to move forth, so that the nation could assume part of the responsibility of the O&M on the lighting project that happened there, and that's yet to be completed. Just request the committee to request that we support. I ask that you guys support this resolution, and to move forth, and like I indicated, it is pretty much a safety corridor type of safety project from the state of Arizona, which the state of Arizona graciously funded this project, and it's been up for a while, but we have a short extension that needs to be completed. So, now I believe you guys should have the information related to the 164 process. The 164 process under the 164 number 014475. And INDOT, I believe the division director, and everything was put into place. It happened on August 6th. OMB attached a letter to the packet there, and signed off on August 7th, and deemed it legally sufficient. Office of the Attorney General signed off on August 12th on 2020 by Veronica Blackhat. The Office of the Controller has signed off on the document also on August 17th. So I don't drop legislation to get this addressed in
Thank you, Honorable So. Any questions? Honorable members of RDC? Comments? None? Kushina, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Honorable Freeland, how do you vote, sir?
Green.
Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Honorable Begay?
Chairman, I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Vice Chair Walker?
I vote green.
Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. A vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries for legislation 0211-20. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to give the gavel over to Honorable Vice Chair Walker to do the next two for me. I'll be the presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Advisor, Ms. Begay, can you read the next legislation to the record? Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, you have legislative summary sheet for tracking number 0212-20. The date on it is August 25th, 2020. The title of the resolution is Proposed Standing Committee Resolution and Action Relating to Resource Development, approving a right-of-way and temporary construction easement to the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation to construct operate and maintain Reach 7 pumping plant 4, shiprock turnout and temporary staging area for Navajo Gallup water supply project located on tribal trust land in Sheep Springs Chapter, San Juan County, New Mexico. The purpose of this legislation is to grant approval for right-of-way and temporary construction easement to the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation to construct, operate, and maintain Reach 7 and pumping plant 4 of the Navajo Gallup water supply project that's moving along the 491. Hold on. This legislation is only, RDC will have final authority. Prime sponsor is Ricky Naz, co-sponsored by Delegate Wilson Stewart Jr. Tracking number 0212-20, an action relating to resource development, approving a right-of-way temporary construction easement to the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation to construct, operate, and maintain Reach 7, pumping plant 4, Sheep Springs turnout, and temporary staging area for Navajo Gallup water supply project located on tribal trust land in Shiprock, Sheep Springs Chapter, San Juan County, New Mexico. Be it enacted, Section 1 authority pursuant to 2 NNC Section 501B2, the Resource Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council has authority to give final approval of the all land withdrawal, non-mineral leases, permits, license, rights of way, surface, easement, bonding requirements for on Navajo Nation land and unrestricted fee land. This authority shall include subleases, modification, assignment, leasehold, encumbrance, transfer, renewal, and termination. Section 2 findings. A, the United States Bureau of Reclamation 1235 La Plata Highway, Farmington, New Mexico 87401 has submitted a right-of-way application and temporary construction easement application to construct, operate, maintain Reach 7 Navajo Gallup water supply project located on, over, across Navajo Nation trust land in Sheep Springs Chapter, San Juan County, New Mexico. The application are attached and incorporated as Exhibit D. C. The Omnibus Public Land Management Act of 2009, Title 10, Part 3, Public Law 111-11 Act authorized the Bureau of Reclamation to construct the Navajo Gallup water supply project, NGWSP, that includes water treatment plants, pipelines, several pumping stations, and an ancillary facility. Once completed, the NGWSP will deliver a reliable source of potable water sourced from the San Juan River to Navajo communities in northwestern New Mexico, the city of Gallup, New Mexico, the southwest portion of the Hickory Apache Reservation for municipal and industrial use. The NGWSP will connect to existing and future water distribution system operated on the reservation by the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority, NTUA, and in Gallup by the city of Gallup. The high quality treated water provided by the NGWSP will bring immediate benefits, including improved health, well-being to tribal members. Application Exhibit D. D, the proposed permanent right-of-way temporary construction easement consists of Navajo Nation trust land along San Juan County, New Mexico, located more particularly described on the legal description and survey map attached incorporated as Exhibit B. E, the Bureau of Reclamation, in a letter written to the program manager of the Navajo Nation General Land Development Department dated February 6, 2020 states, it should be noted that your office has previously obtained a field clearance for these parcels with the work that has been completed on Reach 4C through a right-of-way application package that is approved as resolution number RDC CAP-009-19 and granted on April 24, 2019. Further, the BIA granted the Reach C through 8 right-of-way that is recorded as TAAMS number 791-42-001-87-192 on October 2nd, 2019. The parcel herein requested overlap of Reach 4C through 8 right-of-way at the south end of Reach 7 and the north end of Reach 8. See Application Exhibit D. The Nomination Department of Justice Memorandum dated April 24, 2020, and the consent forms are attached as Exhibit C. F, the Bureau of Reclamation understands that the nomination is waiving all customary fee and consideration for the right-of-way in accordance with authorizing legislation in the Omnibus Bill, Omnibus Public Land Management Act of 2009, Title 10, Part 3, Section 10602C2, Public Law 11111, Application D. G, the Biological Resource Compliance Form, NNDFW Review Number EOR 010650 is attached as Exhibit E. H, the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project, Class 3 Inventory and Ethnographic Summary for the San Juan Lateral, Volume 1, reaches 3 to 8, Hogback Diversion and Shiprock Connection, Navajo Nation, McKinley, San Juan Counties, New Mexico, is attached as Exhibit F. I, the Hohatsoi Council on Nadani Chapter Resolution, PC 2017-0191, supporting the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project is attached as Exhibit G. J, Navajo Nation President Executive Order number 07-2017, stating support for the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project and a memorandum dated September 9, 2016, supporting a waiver for bond requirements under 25 CFR Section 1.2 of the 25 CFR Section 169.103 are attached as Exhibit H. K, RDC CAP-00919, approving a right-of-way temporary easement for reaches 4C through 8 of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project. The Executive Official Review number 010650 regarding reaches 4C 8 through TAAMS number 791-42-001-87-192 for project number Reach 4C through 8 and TAAMS number 791-42-001-191-683 for project Reach. Project number and Reach 4C A are attached as Exhibit I. L, the Executive Official Review Document number 014167 entitled BOR ROW Reach 7 Pumping Plant number 4 is attached as Exhibit J. Section 3, Approval. A, the Resource Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council hereby grants approval for a right-of-way temporary construction easement to U.S. Bureau of Reclamation to construct, operate, maintain Reach 7 Pumping Plant 4 of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply located on over across Navajo Nation Trust Land in Sheep Springs Chapter, San Juan County, Mexico. The location is more particularly described on the map attached as Exhibit B. B. The Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby approves the right-of-way subject to, but not limited to, the terms and conditions incorporated in Exhibit A1. C. The Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby approve the temporary construction easement subject to, but not limited to, the terms and conditions incorporated in Exhibit A2. D. The Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby waives valuation, waives compensation for the right-of-way temporary construction easement because it has determined that accepting the agreed-upon compensation and waiving valuation is in the best interest of the nomination pursuant to Title 25 CFR, Section 169.110. E. The Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby waives the requirement for bond insurance alternative form of security on the part of the grantee based on the determination that Reach 7 Pumping Plant Number 4 of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project benefits the Navajo Nation, and such a waiver is the best interest of the nomination pursuant to 25 CFR 169.103 F2. F. The Resource Committee of the Nomination Council hereby grants the right-of-way and temporary construction easement as long as the grantee, Bureau of Reclamation, or its successor, or assigns the right-of-way and temporary construction easement for construction operations and maintenance of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project. G. The Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby authorize the President to execute and all documents necessary to effect the intent and purpose of this resolution. All of the exhibits that are referenced in the content of the legislation are attached to the resolution. The legislation that I read, and you will note that this packet has 125 pages, and the packet went through the executive review, and the packet was posted on the council website on August 26, 2020, and the 5-day comment period ended on August 31st, 2020. No comments received. Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee.
Chair, Advisor, Ms. Begay, for the reading of the legislation. For the committee members, is there a motion to approve this legislation?
Motion.
Hey, all motion.
Okay, Honorable Stewart motions. Is there a second?
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland offers that second. Goshen, good day. Back to Chairman Nez, sponsor of this document and legislation. You have the floor, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker, honorable members of the RDC, Koro. What this is it's the project, the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project, which is located at Sheep Springs Chapter area, and it's to approve the rights-of-way and temporary construction easement for the Bureau of Reclamation to construct, operate, and maintain Reach 7 Pumping Plant 4. So RDC has final authority, and I have my agent with me, Vice Chair Walker, Mr. Pat Page, if we'll give him a little bit of time.
Okay, Hagoshi.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Pat Page. I'm the project construction engineer for the Bureau of Reclamation's Four Corners Construction Office in Farmington. New Mexico. Chairman Nez, Vice Chair Walker, members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to provide some information to you on this right-of-way request today. I'm joined today also on the call by Becky Begay, our Navajo Outreach Coordinator, and I believe Mr. Robert Kirk with the Navajo Nation Department of Water Resources is also on the line and available to answer any questions that you may have. Before I describe the right-of-way, I also wanted to just give the committee a quick update on the progress that is being made on the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project. For any of you that have driven along 491 in the area between basically Little Water down to Twin Lakes, you have been seeing the construction going on the east side of the highway. Construction on the San Juan lateral continues along that section, basically between Twin Lakes Twin Lakes all the way up to Little Water. We are doing this construction in strict accordance with the Navajo Nation's COVID-19 orders and restrictions, maintaining physical distancing, wearing masks, and limiting personnel on site to avoid mass gatherings. So it is exempt under the President's orders that allow for water infrastructure projects to continue. So we're very honored to be able to continue to do this work on this very important project that has now even has even more importance. This week, just yesterday, we awarded our latest construction contract, and that is for the construction of pumping plants 4 and 7, which are the topics of the two pieces of legislation today, the right-of-way for those two plants. On the other side of the project, on the Cutter lateral, that lateral is nearing completion, and we are coordinating with the Navajo Nation Department of Water Resources, Navajo Tribal Utility Authority, and the Navajo Engineering and Construction Authority to begin to prepare for the to start testing and commissioning the water treatment plant and beginning to start the systematic process of getting water into the downstream reaches and the distribution systems, getting those systems ready to receive project water. And later this year, project water will begin to be delivered through that system. So that's just a quick progress update on what we're doing there. As far as pumping plant 4, this reach or this facility is located within reach 7 of the pipeline near Sheep Springs. The total capacity of this plant is a little over 47 cubic feet per second. There will be 4 pumps within the pumping plant to achieve that capacity, and there will also be a 1 million gallon tank that will be constructed within this right-of-way as part of the pumping plant contract. As I mentioned, that contract was awarded this week, along with the contract for, or it included construction of pumping plant number 7 for $46 million. Construction is anticipated to start in January of 2021, and we expect construction to be completed roughly 3 years from now, September 2023. That's all I had. I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Page, and sponsor Chairman Nez. Is that your presentation? Is that concluded? Ashakoda?
Yes, Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
Okay. Committee members, questions, comments, or his agent?
Chair, or Vice Chair, this is Freeland.
Yes, Honorable Freeland. Go ahead.
Not a question, no question, but a comment. Chairman Nez, thank you to the BOR. I really do appreciate you all working on, it's such a huge endeavor, and appreciate you all, working through the challenges. Yes, there's been many challenges, but really getting this project going, and its inception has taken several years, yes, but you're towards that tail end of completion. But really want to just extend my appreciation and our appreciation for this project. It's going to really help out a lot of our Navajo people along 491, but also even into my area, the BBN9 area, all the reaches that are in place, even down 264 into, I think, into Window Rock even. But all the reaches that are in place. I just want to say thank you to the BOR, and thank you to, of course, the late Senator Domenici and Senator Bingaman, former Senator Bingaman, for getting this project going for our Navajo people. So, and then of course the Cutter Lateral is another one too. We also want to say thank you for Cutter Lateral side, on far eastern side of Navajo. Going to help a lot of our people on that side, Herpino and Naizi area. So, Edia, Chair, Vice Chair Che, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Any other questions, comments, RDC members? Yeah. If not, we can proceed to go vote on the legislation. No other questions at this time. I'll ask for a vote. How do you vote, Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Green. How do you vote, Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Green. And Sean, how do you vote, Honorable Begay?
Green.
Green. How do you vote, Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Green. Okay. And Sean, Chairman Nez, how do you vote?
Green.
Green. We have a vote of 5 in favor, opposing, none. Vice Chair not voting. Thank you. Next legislation advice is the reading of that. next legislation.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, legislative summary sheet for tracking number 0213-20. The legislative summary sheet is dated August 24, 2020. This is a similar resolution, and I'll just go straight to the legislation, the face of the legislation. Again, RDC will have final authority. Prime sponsor is Ricky Naz, co-sponsored by Wilson Stewart Jr., tracking number 0213-20. An action relating to resource development, amending RDC 124-17 to increase the acreage of Reach 10 pumping plant number 7 Navajo Gallup water supply project located on tribal trust land in Twin Lakes chapter, McKinley County, New Mexico. Be it enacted. Section 1, authority pursuant to 2 NNC Section 501 B2, the Resource Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council has the authority to give final approval of all land withdrawal, non-mineral leases, permits, license, rights of way, surface easement, bonding requirements on Navajo Nation land and unrestricted fee lands. This authority shall include sublease, modification, assignment, leasehold encumbrance, transfer, renewal, and termination. Section 2, finding. The United States Bureau of Reclamation 1235 La Plata Highway, Farmington, New Mexico 87401 has submitted an application to amend RDCD 124-17, which was approved by Resource Development Committee on December 11, 2017. The request is to amend RDC D 12417 to increase the acreage of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project NGWSP Reach 10 Pumping Plant Number 7 site from 5.35 acres to 10.39 acres on over across Navajo Nation Trust lands in McKinley County, New Mexico. The application is attached and incorporated as Exhibit 4, and RDC D 124-17 is attached as Exhibit 5. B, the Omnibus Public Land Management Act of 2009, Title 10, Part 3, Public Law 1011-11 Act, authorized the Bureau of Reclamation to construct the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project NGWSP that includes water treatment plants, pipelines, several pumping station and ancillary facility. Once completed, the NGWSP will deliver a reliable source of potable water source from the San Juan River to Navajo communities in northeastern New Mexico, the city of Gallup, New Mexico, and southwest portion of the Jicarilla Apache Reservation for municipal and industrial use. The NGWSP will connect to existing and future water distribution system operated on the reservation by the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority in 2A, and in Gallup, by the city of Gallup. The high-quality treated water provided by the NGWSP will bring immediate benefits, including improved health and well-being to tribal members. Exhibit 5 application. C, the February 27, 2020 Bureau Reclamation letter accompanying Bureau Reclamation application states the increase in acreage is necessary to accommodate an increase in the anticipated build-out size of the pumping plant resulting from engineering, design change, additional space needed for the construction of a turnout facility that will supply water, the NGWSP to the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority to supply treated water to the community of Twin Lakes and surrounding area through its water distribution system. Exhibit 5 application. D, the proposed amendment consists of Navajo Nation Trust land located in Twin Lakes, Chapter McKinley County, New Mexico. The location is more particularly described on the survey map attached as Exhibit 2. E, the Navajo Nation Department of Justice memorandum dated January 25, 2019 regarding land users' consent and the consent of Navajo Nation land form are attached as Exhibit 3. F, the February 27, 2020 Bureau Reclamation letter accompanying Bureau Reclamation application states it should be noted that field clearance have already been obtained for this parcel with the work that was completed on the Reach 9B through 11 consent for right-of-way DNR number RDCJN 6117 that was granted on June 27, 2017, and BIA right-of-way on November 16, 2017. That is registered as TAAMS number 791-400063668. A significant amount of the increased acreage will overlap the Reach 9B through 11 right-of-way application for Exhibit 4 application and Exhibit 3 consent form. G, the Resource Development Committee Resolution RDC 12417 is attached as Exhibit 5. H, the Bureau of Indian Affairs memo dated January 11, 2018, approving the grant of easement BIA TAAMS number 1-791-400-69180 is attached as Exhibit 6. I, the United States Department of Interior Bureau Reclamation Letter dated April 25th, 2016, regarding the National Historic Preservation Act, Section 106, consultation for the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project, Task 3, inventory and infographic summary for the San Juan Lateral Volume Reach 9 through 11, Nation, McKinley County, New Mexico, attached as Exhibit 7. J, the Biological Research Compliance Form, NDFW, review number 7. I'm going to think it's 1701 is attached as Exhibit 8. There might be a typo on that one. We'll correct that. K, the nomination president letter dated September 8, 2016, to the Assistant Secretary, Indian Affairs, regarding the nomination support for the waiver of bond requirement 25 CFR 169-103 for the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project right-of-ways, attached as Exhibit 9. L, the BASLA Chapter Resolution BAHAS 11-06-03-322, supporting the design and construction of the Navajo Gallup Supply Project is attached as Exhibit 10, and the Executive Official Review 014276 is attached as Exhibit 11. Section 3, Approval A, the Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby amends RDC 12417 to increase the acreage of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project, Reach 10, Pumpkin Plant 7 site, from 5.35 acres to 10.39 acres on over across nomination trust land in McKinley County, New Mexico. The location is more particularly described on the map attached as Exhibit 2. B, the Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby approves the right-of-way subject to, but not limited to, the terms and conditions incorporated herein as Exhibit 1. C, the Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby waives valuation and waives the compensation because it determines that accepting the agreed upon compensation waiving valuation is in the best interest of the nomination pursuant to 25 CFR 169.110. D, the Resource Development Committee of the Nomination Council hereby waives the requirement for bond insurance, alternative form of security on the part of the grantee based on the determination of Reach 10, Pumpkin Plant 7 of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project benefits the nomination, and such waivers that best interest of the nomination pursuant to 25 CFR 169-103 F2. E, the Resource Development Committee of the Nomination hereby authorizes the president of the nomination to execute any and all documents necessary to effect the intent and purpose of this resolution. Again, the exhibits that are referenced in the content of the legislation are all attached. The packet is approximately 145 pages. You will note that the packet was posted on the council website on August 26, 2020, and the 5-day comment period ended on August 31st, 2020. There were no comments received. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, we will correct the number that I read and highlighted in my reading. That there could be a correction that would be made, so we'll make sure and work with BOR in that. Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you for the reading Ms. McGee. Committee members, is there a motion to approve this legislation?
Motion.
Alan McGee, okay. Okay, McGee. So, is there a second?
Delegate Rick Nez.
Okay. Motion made by Honorable McGee and seconded by Honorable Freeland. Christine, sponsor and your agent, you have the floor to make the give the presentation.
Honorable Vice Chair Walker, thank you very much, as well as my honorable colleagues. This legislation is also related to the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project, located at Twin Lakes, Bahahate. And this is to increase acreage of Reach 10 pumping plant number 7. So RDC's final authority. Thank you. Let me give a little bit of time to Mr. Pat Page.
Mr. Page, you have the floor.
Thank you, Vice Chair Walker, members of the committee. Again, my name is Pat Page. I'm the construction engineer for the Four Corners Construction Office of the Bureau of Reclamation. Joining me on the phone, Becky Begay, our Navajo Outreach Coordinator, as well as Robert Kirk with the Navajo Nation Department of Water Resources. Pumping Plant 7 is, as Chairman Nez mentioned, is on Reach 10 of the project near Twin Lakes. It has a capacity of 40.4 cubic feet per second. On that site will also be a 1.5 million gallon tank. The right-of-way was originally approved in December of 2017 as part of the was included in with the Block 911 right-of-way. As a result of some additional design refinements done specifically to the pumping plant, we need to increase the right-of-way to accommodate a turnout that will serve the Twin Lakes community, and also need to increase it to provide access to the plant. Again, this pumping plant is grouped with pumping plant number 4. Both of those pumping plants will be constructed by the same contractor. That contract was awarded yesterday for $46 million, and construction on this pumping plant is expected to start January of 2021, and it will take 3 years to complete. That completes my report and description, and I'll stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Page and Chairman Nez. Committee members, though, advisor, staff, about the correction that was mentioned earlier, does that still need to happen? If so, in what way, advisor?
Vice Chair Walker, I would have to ask Ms. Chammy McGay where that error was.
Pat, do you have a copy of the legislation?
Yes, I do.
It would be on page 3 of 4 on line 18, where it says review number 17 USBR 01. And I'm figuring that it might be that USBR is U.S. Bureau of Reclamation?
Correct.
Okay, so there's no correction to be made then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Committee members, questions for the sponsor and his agent, questions or comments?
Chair. Vice Chair Che.
Okay, Honorable Freeland.
Thank you, Che. Just a question for Mr. Page. This Reach 10, is this the reach that will be sending water east on BBN 9?
Yes, Delegate Freeland. Let me look at my map real quick here. Sorry, Reach 10 is actually is on the main pipe, the main line. Reach 10.1 will take off from Reach 10 that will serve the BBN9. So this is actually not that sublateral, but it's where that sublateral will connect to the main line.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Che, thank you, Mr. Page.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Water Resource Management, Robert and Jason John would have a copy of the map that will show where every reach of the water pipeline is occurring. So this it will indicate where these new pumping plants will be set up. Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Berger. I guess I have a question, Chairman Nez, and then the agent. Just a general question. That through this legislation, while I am learning about the need for RC to be apprised or given reports on developments, and of course, approving necessary additions or changes as the project progresses. So, and I appreciate, I would appreciate that that the committee be given reports. Although the other is how many turnouts are there along this route? And of course, the communities to be served, communities along this route, along this water supply line. Of course, you have to into consideration community growth 5 years from now, 10, 15 years from now. These communities, they will grow and will have need for water infrastructure to go into those communities. So I'm just thinking, how does that work? How does that take into consideration? And then of course there's costs associated. So what is the cost for a turnout right now as today's in today's market? So these are my questions. Thank you, Chairman, and your agent.
Mr. Page, could you answer?
Yes, I might ask Mr. Robert Kirk to weigh in on this as well, if he would like.
Good afternoon. This is Robert Kirk, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the RDC committee. This legislation that's pending before you, reports the Vice Chairman Walker. Every quarter, I do send out from our office. We do quarterly reports. It's a really in-depth quarterly report. I send it to all of the Navajo Nation, 24th Navajo Nation Council, and Office of the President, BIA, different entities, the BIA, the chapters, Bureau of Reclamation, so there, I could resend you some of those. The most recent one, I believe, was July. In addition to that, the Bureau of Reclamation quarterly newsletter in I could send out that usually comes from me. So I do that every quarter, so every 3 months. September, not as the October, so that kind of is the most regular updates that we do have. So that's what we do. So Pat, back to you.
Thank you, Robert. And to to answer the other part of the question, as far as the number of turnouts, and I don't have the number right off the top of my head. I'm looking at the project map that Ms. Begay mentioned, but just real rough, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 5 turnouts along the 5 or 6 turnouts along the line to serve the communities. The whole concept of this project is that the water will be transmitted down the main pipeline that you see being, and then the N2A distribution systems will tap into that main transmission line to serve those communities that are currently being served by groundwater. The project will replace that groundwater supply with a clean treated surface water supply, which is a more reliable and firm supply, which will allow then for growth and future development, which kind of leads to your other question, other part of your question, how is that planned? We've designed this system to meet a 40-year projected population growth. So we look 40 years out into the future for the design of the system. The turnouts, I don't have a number readily available to me for the cost of those, but I can provide that to you, but I don't have that on hand right now.
Okay, committee members, any other questions, comments? But then, I will call for the question again. Okay, so Honorable Freeland.
Green, Chile.
Green, Chile. How do you, Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Green.
Hello.
Honorable Begay, how do you vote?
Delegate Kellen votes green. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Daniels, how do you vote, sir?
Green.
Green. Chairman Nez, how do you vote?
I vote green, Vice Chair. I'm also going to get off and get on BFC. Thank you.
Okay, Hakushi. So we have a vote of 5 in favor, opposing, or none. Vice Chair not voting. So thank you, Chairman Nez and your agent for presenting the session. Yeah. Asking on the or in of our agenda. And adjournment. Are there any committee members? No announcements. Advisor, Mr. Gay, any other announcements?
No, Mr. Chair. Vice Chair, I will be sending you a message on our group email. I just need you to read that. Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
No announcements at this time. Let's close the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? Committee members?
Motion.
Honorable Stewart motions to adjourn. Is there a second?
Yellen.
Freeland.
Allen. Okay. Honorable Begay. offers a second. Okay, so let's vote on this. How do you vote, Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Green. How do you vote, Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Green. How do you vote, Honorable Begay?
Delegate Keelan votes green for adjournment. Thank you.
Green for adjournment. Okay. How do you vote, Honorable Daniels? Okay.
Green.
Green. Honorable Chairman Nez, how do you vote? I think he dropped off the call to go to BNF. Ella, we have a vote of 4 in favor. Opposing, there are none. The chairman not, vice chair not voting. Ella, this concludes our meeting. Committee members, our legislative staff, and then presenter. Yeah, although that is not yeah, the kilo yeah, do dada yeah, do the dollar dollar. Wrapping up now.
State the time.